Okay, I'm back, and I thought I would do up the uh, dialogue system. There we go. Actually, I just want to make sure we have the proper update in here, because I know there was a few bugs with this last PlayMaker update, and they've released one or maybe even two patches on fixing some of those pretty quickly. So I haven't had a chance to check any of that stuff, but anyways, while that's doing that, I was debating actually the last probably day or two on how to deliver the best quality dialogue system for you guys that would be easy to replicate and easy to do. So I'm just going to remove some of this. I'm going to remove all of it. I'll just delete it all. We don't need any of that. So we have a dialogue system, and I'm gonna incorporate stats for it. And stats could be anything. For example, say you have quests, and you have quest progression, and as it progresses, you want different values popping up in your dialogue. It's the exact same idea as the stat system. So I'm just going to check and make sure that this works, because this is one of the things that wasn't working. Is I'm getting the player and I'm storing them into a global variable. Okay, and this is one of the things I had trouble with before, is if I open up my globals, because I, for whatever reason, couldn't get him to fill, and it looks like it's filling, so that's great. That bug was super annoying. So the first thing I need is some sort of dialogue manager. So I'm going to call this guy the Dia Manager. You also need a place to display all of these dialogues. Now you could put it into, if you have a HUD, just put it in there. If you want to make another canvas, that's fine as well. So I'll just put it into this one, right? So I'm going to create an empty so we know where it is. And we're going to call it dialogue, if I can spell it right. And I'm going to click on that, Shift, Alt, make it big. I'm going to create a spot for the welcome. No, we'll call it question. The question. And I'm going to drag it, say, up here. And then I'm going to make another spot for oh my god, I cannot spell today. And this guy, I am going to, I don't know, say we can X, Y, doesn't really need a height. I'm going to give him a vertical layout group. Uncheck that, check that. Give him a spacing of, say, 10. I'll move him down a little bit. Okay. So the first thing I need is I'm going to need some sort of text. Right? So we're going to set this up as this is what the AI would kind of say. So we want to know how it kind of looks. So maybe we'll just, best fit that stuff, and I don't know, change its color, scale it down, then expand it. Something like that. Okay. Now I'm going to name this question. And I'm going to go over to, I'm going to make a new folder for this. Call it dialogue tut. I'm going to drag this question, stick him in there. And I'm going to delete him. And then I'm going to create the answers. And I'm just going to use a simple button. As you see, like because of that vertical layout group, we get that just by default. And I really don't even need to do anything to this one. So I'm just going to drag him over and stick him like that. Nice and simple. So in our dialogue manager, we need a reference. And we need a button and a question. And then we need the question placeholder. Spelt really weird, but hey. And we need a answers. We'll just leave it as answers. So we also need the player. And we need a dialogue game object, I believe. Yeah, we'll need a bunch of other things too. Oh, the other thing we'll need is an array of buttons. And we will make that a game object array. We also need a current AI question. So in the manager, we need, say, start conversation. And we need a clear and, well, possibly a close. So in the start, I'm going to next frame that and control click and finish and new and get set game object. We're going to set the player to the global player. So if I hit play, we should get that value, and he doesn't. So let's just briefly put a pause into him and turn him on, and he still doesn't do it. Well, aren't you just lovely? Because he is storing into the globals, I'm sure of it. So I don't know why that's, I mean, normally getting a global variable isn't this hard. But I mean, there's a lot of workarounds for it, and I'm sure they'll fix this portion up. Right, because that is, we are, what am I doing? Set game object. Right, because we are getting from the globals player, which is empty, and it should just, so he's waiting. Meanwhile, our player has said he has set the global. And there it is. I don't know, that's weird. I don't see why that's not working. So this is the other thing we're going to do. Okay, we're going to set event data. This probably isn't the best answer for this, but hey, it will work for what we're doing. player and send event. Move action to the bottom. We're just going to broadcast this one as this is player. Can exclude itself, not that that matters. Okay. So where is this is player and get event info. Get game object stored as player. And that should go, and there's our player. Okay, so that's going to work for us. I don't know why the global method isn't working. Said ever since they've updated, there's been a few bugs, so I'm sure they'll figure that out. So we need a start conversation, and we need a clear conversation. So when we start the conversation, we need to get who the or what the conversation is. So that's going to be our dialogue. And then, okay, well, let's make a conversation. I'm going to create an empty. It doesn't have to be an empty here. I'm just putting it here for organizational reasons. You could put this on anything, shopkeeper or something, whatever. We're going to call this some AI thing. Doesn't even need to be an AI thing. It could be anything. So ideally, when this one starts, I'm just going to put it off of the start. I'm not going to go have a trigger event on this thing, but I mean, if you wanted to do a trigger event on it, and you know your player walks up or goes to a person and hits a button and this starts, you know, that's, you would just kind of stick that logic here and then it feeds into this. Okay, so this thing, well, actually, you know what? This guy also needs the same thing this player did. Is that exact same thing, so that everyone knows. Paste. Well, no, I want to paste those actions. I don't want to paste a template. Copy selected. Again, well, you know what? We're not even going to bother doing that. So normally, if you have these things instantiated, they would need to link into this manager. In this case, I'm just going to bring them in. Oh, well, Lord 100. Alright, now I'm going to bring them in. There we go. So the first thing we need to do is we need variables, right? We have a string as question, and we have, we'll say response 1, and we have response 2, and we'll do a response 3. Okay, so ideally what we're going to do is we're going to have a button array, okay, and we are going to do events here. So this needs a button, but we don't have a button, but this is going to be button 1, and this one can be button 2, and button 3, and if we click on button 1, we want response 1. Click that. We want response 2 if button 2 is clicked, and we want response 3 if button 3 is clicked. Okay. We're just going to drag those out to get rid of the errors. So we need to set string values, right? Because Lord, 100. So one of the things in here is you have these questions, right? And their values are empty. They're all empty. And I could fill them out here, but that would be a pretty static conversation. So what we're going to do is a question is, how can I help you? Right? We're going to copy that and paste it a few times. So response 1, response 2, and response 3. So response 1 is just looking, or shut up, or did you subscribe? Oh, look at that, it snuck in YouTube subscribe stuff. Sneaky. So we have those, right? We're not setting them into anything, we're just setting values. And then we want to send an event to, not the owner, to the dialog manager. Okay, we're going to cheat and just drag them in, and manager, and start conversation, switch him back to dialog manager. Just make sure to swap that back if you do that drag in trick, right? So we're going to set in these, and we're going to tell him to start. I want a next frame event because I want to make sure there's a clear difference going on into this next part. Okay. So when he sends this event to this guy, he says, okay, we've gotten a object here, which is this guy, coming in. He said start conversation, and this is him. So let's create a text, the question, at the question placeholder, and we'll make sure to make that 0, and this is current AI question. Yes. So we're going to store that as the current AI question. Okay, I'm not going to bother filling that yet. I think I'll wait. Or no, I probably should fill it. So get FSM string, and I'm just going to do a quick little cheat as grab this guy from the convo question, but it's actually coming from the dialog, right? It's coming from this guy. So I'll replace that. We're going to store that as current question. Okay. Now this is where we could get stats from the player, and we're going to create the responses, right? Because right now, technically, if I just do that, I think everything is set up. He should. Yeah, there's nothing there. He says, how can I help you? He does these questions. He should have sent the event. The event sends, and we get from the player. Why is the player being stupid? Hey, you, Mr. Player, go away. I wonder if that's because they're broadcasting and everything's like, hey. Alright, so get the event info dialog. Why aren't you? Oh, we didn't send the event here, or set the event? Oh my god, Lord 100. There we go, yeah, because we have to get the event info, right? So that means when we have this guy, and we're going to send the event, we have to actually set that info. Set event data. To which, I mean, I don't actually even need to do it in this one here. I could have done this in the beginning. We are going to set our self. So we need to get owner, store as self. Come over here, set game object data as self. So now when that goes, some AI thing, right? So we're going to create the question in the placeholder. Now we have question clone. We get that, how can I help you? Alright, so his position is all loopy. That's an easy fix. Right, we're just going to go ba-doop. Let's see how that looks. Something. Okay. So dialog manager. So we create the question. We are going to set rec of, oh, he's not going to let us do that. Okay, fine. We'll set position. Of the current AI question of 0, 0 world. No, self. Move to the bottom. There we go. So now we have some question popping up. You can put a background and all sorts of stuff to that. So, more importantly, we have the question. You don't have to worry about this set position on the buttons. So I'm just going to actually finish that so we don't get all crazy in there. Just personal preference. And we need to create a button. And its parent is under the answers. And we need to store this as current button. Oh, there's some lag, eh? So now that we got that, we need to get FSM string of, oh yeah, we'll do the cheat. Conversation response 1 store as, I could probably even just reuse that variable. And it's just a string variable. So this, we're getting the FSM string from the dialog. And we need to get child bottom. And this needs to be of the current button. The child's name is text. I don't think they have a tag. Current button text. Set text. Move that to the bottom of current button text. Set it to current question. Okay. So this is all question or response 1, right? So set FSM game object. This is where some magic happens. Is we have an array over here in our conversation. We have buttons 1, 2, and 3. So we are going to set current button down there. This is to the dialog. Okay. And right here after we'll put in our check for say for some sort of stat. So we can actually physically just skip this part type of idea, right? So that's going to be question 1, and I can just duplicate it and come down here, and this is the same thing, but we're going to change that 1 to a 2. That's all the same, and we're going to change this variable from a 1 to a 2. Make sure all these spellings are right, and then we're going to copy that and paste it again, and we're going to do the same thing. This is response 3, button 3, now when he comes in we have this little portion. So let's just see how that looks. I don't know why that one's not there. So just to kind of show you something now. So if there's probably spelling, I probably didn't do the proper caps or something. Yeah, see, this one didn't get its button. This one did, but this one didn't. So we will check that all up in a second. But anyways, we know button 1's there. So if I hit that, it goes in, we have a response. Okay, and that's going to be very, very, very good. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure these little parts are spelt properly. So we know it's conversation, we know that's response 2. And that's the same. And we know that's convo button 2. There was a space there. Down here, dialogue. This is also why anytime you ever make anything, so there's a space there, and sometimes I'm really bad for this and it catches me all the time, is doesn't really matter too much, like well it does, but more importantly is whenever you're making variables and stuff like that, you follow a pattern, right? Like if you want to make them so that they're all capitalized in the beginning, or each word is capitalized differently, then stick with that style. Like don't have, here's, we're going to spell axe this way, and then we're going to make axe 2 this way kind of idea, and you start getting these non-capitals and capitals and things like that. You kind of want to follow one pattern, and don't use spaces. Sometimes I do. You're better off using those. way better off. Because if something's in, like, how do you see a space in when you're trying to debug things? Yeah, it's hard. Oh, okay. So as you see, now we have all three, and I can hit these. Nothing's actually going to technically happen there, but over here, it's gone into response 2. So the next little part of this is we need, once we've hit these need to send an event to, once again, we're just going to do this, to clear. Change that over to the dialog manager again. And now I can delete those. I'll just copy this one over. We're going to tell him to clear, and then we're going to wait next frame, finish, copy and paste, and response 2, response 3. So we're just going to bring these in nice and tight. Nice and tight, like a tiger. Right, so we have this almost a little block of data. So once that is to clear, if we get clear up here, we need to destroy the current AI question. We will then, we'll just do a finish. Come over here and array get next. You could also use array list for this. We need a loop and we are done, and the result, we'll save it as current button. We'll just reuse that variable. And what are we going to do? We are going to destroy a bunch of objects. We're going to destroy current button. And by a bunch of objects, I meant just that one. Okay, so now we get that, we hit that, and we should have a bunch of things destroyed. We've gone there, we've sent the event to clear. Current AI question is none because we've destroyed it. Buttons, oh yeah, we never even made the array. So array add, this is also key because we want to make sure that we need to clear. So we are going to, at the bottom, add current button, copy, come down here, paste, come down here, paste. Those will come one of the benefits of reusing variables. So we've hit a button and everything clears. So this is kind of the beauty of this system. So we know response 1, which we set up here, is, or the questions, how can I help you? So we have just looking, shut up, and did you subscribe? So I can literally take this whole thing, copy and paste, and copy and paste, and copy and paste. And he feeds into this one, he feeds into this one, he feeds into this one. Right? So now, if we went from how can I help you just looking, this guy can be like, okay, have fun, thanks, or I will, or did you subscribe yet? Ah, son of a bitch. Well, good enough. right? And then, so if we said this one, he said, shut up. That's rude. Sorry. Or, you're still talking. And, did you subscribe? Oh my god, I'm so sneaky. And of course, the last question was, oh yeah, did you subscribe? Huh. You think I would have known that? Of course. Great. Cool. And you're the best. Now, if you also want to, you could, technically, if you wanted to loop these things, I could just go backwards, right? Nothing's saying you can't do it, right? So if I go to the subscribe and go to the bottom answer, we hit play, we get this, right? Did you subscribe? Brings those up. You're the best, and I can just, it's just going to go back and forth. But if I go up here, it stops. There is one thing that happened there that shouldn't be, is the question. So this guy, get question. Let's just check that real quick. Make sure I spelt that right. That says something, something, something. We don't want it to say something, something, something. We want it to I'm just going to put a small break right. Breakpoint. I have to put it in the next state. If you don't know what breakpoints are, that's what they do. It's like a voluntarily error. Yeah, okay, well. So let's toggle that out. Also great for troubleshooting, in case you haven't ever used those. So we know we hit this, we got that, we get the question, we get the question clone, we get current question. Oh, we never set the text on the current question, you know that? Toggle great point. So UI text set text. I could have sworn I did that on the current question is the string current AI question. Current AI question. Current question. How can I help you? I'm just looking. Okay, have fun. Thanks. Right? Pretty slick. Did you subscribe? Of course. You're the best. How can I help you? Right? Just loop around forever. That's rude. So that's kind of that. Now, like I said I would add in stats. So let's just check the time. 39 minutes. Okay, we'll very quickly add in stats and we'll end it. So here we have those. So we know we have a player object, right? Now I'm just going to drag him in. This global thing's pissing me off. So what you would need to do is, in here, we need variables, right? Here we have you'd have to almost define, okay, you know what, I'm going to use this one for, you know, maybe nothing, and this one for strength, and say this one for dex, or, you know, quest wise. And again, you don't even have to have 3. You can have 50 of them here if you wanted to. It all depends how much work you want to put into it. So let's say set int value, right? So we're going to have an int called strength, and we'll say this is 5. Oh, call this one dex. Say he's 1. Take both of those, move them up here, and we can say duplicate those and stick them over here above the next frame, but below everything else. And you can set these wherever, right? And you put them all into everything. But if you have them in one of them, you should put them in all, or at least in the other side of things, at least 0 them out. If not, they'll just copy the values from the last ones. So here now we can say we use the first one for a base. We're always going to have response 1, just because we should always have something. Now number 2, that means we get FSM int of our player stats, and we have, say, our final strength, and this is player strength. That's of our player. And then we can do get FSM int again. And this one's going to not be of the player. This one will be of the conversation. Convo of the strength. That's from the dialogue. The require strength. And then we do a int compare. Move that down. So if player strength is equal, it's good. If it's less, it's bad. And if it's good, or if it's greater, it's good. So if it's good, if it's bad. If it's good, we go here. If it's bad, we go there. And we can literally copy that and stick it here, because when this one's done, he comes this way. And if this one's good, he goes here, he goes there. But this one we're not doing strength anymore, are we? We're doing final dex. And it literally could be anything. Like I said, this could be you know, just quest stuff. You know, maybe you want, you know, you're on the journey for a golden apple. I'm just going to keep these. I'm just going to reuse those variables. I don't know why I do that all the time. I should, in the beginning, I should just name them as some generic value, so I'm not looking at these funny variables. So I don't know what these. Okay, so his stats are this, right? If I hit play, so we have that. Oh, we're missing an answer, right? So let's see. Okay, so in the beginning one, what if we said your required strength is 8 and your required dex is 10? So those are both going to fail then, right? We're not going to get response 2 or 3. We'll only get 1. unless, you know, the guy went and leveled up and went down the other line. But over here, let's set strength to 1 and dex to 1. So in the beginning, we'll have just the 1, or we should. Let's see what happened there. Why did that not pick up? Player strength. Alright, let's toggle and toggle. Okay, so you player, you're getting strength, player strength 0. Why are they zeros? Pretty sure the player has some strength, doesn't he? Oh, mind you, he's deactivated. Because those are his base values, if I remember right. Oh, right. Okay, well, this stuff probably works fine. Let's deactivate this guy just briefly and activate this guy so he can calculate his stats. And let's activate this guy so that we have stats to actually base it off of, because he has final strength is 3. His dex is 4. These are just base values, don't worry about those. 3 and 4. And in the manager, oh, there's a 4. Yeah, 3 and 4, right? Because we're reusing it, so this is actually showing the dex value. So that's there. The dialogue is showing zeros. I don't think we have any of them as zeros, do we? Oh my god, did I put them in the wrong spot? No. It's 8. Oh, I put them below the send event. This again, why order on various things is also extremely critical in how you set these things up. Like that, just that totally messes this one up. Just that little tiny bit. Right? You want to make sure we're setting all the values below sending that event, because that means the other one's going to try to run all its logic, and this one's still. Which I realize it seems like, okay, well, if you run this one's right next to it, right? Like, shouldn't they run super fast? But him sending the event, this guy runs, and this guy's actually going to run all of his event, all that data from here, and then go to this guy, right? Okay. And we have things deactivated because we were testing. Oh, that was all crazy. Crazy big. Alright, so now we have those two. Is that how we wanted it set up? We set those. Okay, we shouldn't have either of those. So again, I'm actually just going to put a toggle breakpoint right there. Might have to throw a next frame into these. It totally skips over it, obviously. Because he came down. He created still 0 on the strength. On the player, oh yeah, well, frick. That stupid player. I mean, normally you wouldn't be doing a conversation on the first frame of the game, right? Okay, so we're gonna activate him. We're gonna actually just put a little delay right here. This is just solve that stupid issue. 1 second, that's plenty. More than enough. There, everything's activated. Okay, so we have 2. We're not supposed to have 2 though. We're only supposed to have 1. So I'm thinking we do have, might have to put a next frame. Right, because he's hitting this. It's bad. He goes here. Right, because we do the first question. We check for strength. The strength is bad. We're just going down here. No, if it's bad, we want to go down here. Okay, so it would help if I wired these things properly, eh? Because if it's good, we create it, right? Then we come here. If it's bad, we're just going to come here. If it's good, we create it. If it's bad, we'll finish this off. Okay, so now we have 1 question. We go over, we get our 3 questions, and it ends. So there we go. That should be now fully functioning. So, I said, sometimes you just got to do a little bit of debugging. That's going to happen to everybody. Don't get frustrated with it, because Lord Thunder and anyone who makes perfect code constantly is lying to you. But yeah, so that's a conversation. And you can literally just click, copy, and paste these out all the way till the cows come home. And if your FSM is getting big and you want to cut it down, there's nothing saying, okay, well at this stage, when we go into this guy, let's create another one of these, maybe a different one though, and destroy this one or something, right? And then you would be starting back over here, but with a whole new set of things, right? And then again, also one of the benefits this way is, you know, you get to these points and you can send off various other events, right? Maybe you want sounds to play, or you want, you know, when you hit this, you want, you know, some values to send off to some AI to change, or a door to open. You know, you can easily do all that. But anyway, so there is a dialogue system incorporating some stats for PlayMaker. Thanks for watching.